So let's see what we are gonna do this time around. So I think we had something to do with these red belts. Are there anywhere? Oh, here they are. So so this is for more throughput, so we can make more stuff. No. So here we are. I think that's for more throughput enough. Oh. I think it's for now enough throughput. This may... I think we can make more of these glue science packs. If we just did feed them to this array there. What was that? Oh, soda pens. Concrete for faster movement speed. And do we have some of these? No. I think we could also use some of these belts for transporting the iron ore. And some more of these splitters. Is all of down here full? Basically yes. So you're gonna feed into a steel chest. And then output onto this belt. So, here. Let's see up there what we have there. think we definitely have up there enough oil to fill this whole train up. And manual mode, because this gets filled up immediately. No. I think this amount of ammo is definitely enough for somewhere. And there you go. We have stacking sorters, yes, but I cannot make any more of them. Oh, we still need some more pipes to make all of this. So, and you can get down here. Do we have some more pumps that that are not connected? I think not at this point. And I think you need more of this kind of stuff. Right, so and some more inserter storage capacity. No stack capacity. Here we have these oil processing. Oh yeah, we can. This is the next research that we do. So, and this should be definitely more balanced than before. And first we need to get some stuff away. and up there, like always. For more red circuits we need more green circuits, and for that we simply need more iron. So there's a simple solution. Just build more of these. Oh, we can make some steel furnaces. But we first need some way to make the stone bricks. And here we have some more inserters, so this should be fine for me. And for this there. And a little bit of steel. You get the first one. So I think we need a faster inserter, like a stack inserter. Need no. Yes. So this should be better. And now we can make even faster the steel furnaces. No. Next we search oil processing stuff. Yeah, this is the right thing. And here we have one more. I think I leave it for that thing there, and I make some more chemical plants for this stuff to petroleum thing. And I think we need more of this stuff. And a lot more of the storage type stuff. Five should be enough, and 6 is definitely here not enough. Everything has 1, so there are 4 more, that's 10. 16. No. Better make some more, and not enough. First of all, we are gonna make some new storage tanks. Here also, and the oil should be kept off. So no, this doesn't look as good. This looks much better than before. And do we have some pumps? No, we don't have any pumps. So then I will make one. Three should be enough. And here we need some more landfill. And here's one stone. Is that enough, or is that for that was that I want to make there? Yeah, I think so. And here we go with some power for that. And all of that is going to get in there. And now we can destroy all of that for now. Right now this. You don't have any stuff in your view. And all of your bases. And so, and you can I think both of you should move one further. Because we don't have enough room for that. So all of this is getting transferred one further along. And so and here we go with all of that place. And we should make more of these storage tanks. And here we need some more. What do you call it again? Landfill. No. I think that are enough of these steel furnaces for now, I think. And we should need one more fast splitter. And you get this one. Here we have one fast splitter. After that I'm gonna end this episode. So thank you for watching. Yeah. And goodbye.